Welcome to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana. This video features Marvel Comics Presents #1, cover dated early September 1988. So Marvel Comics Presents was a bi-weekly publication coming out every fortnight, as we would say in Europe, every 2 weeks. And the comic opens with one of Marvel's most popular characters on the front cover, Wolverine, and we get a 10-part Wolverine story for the opening 10 issues of the comic. So this is the main story of the comic. Each chapter is 8 pages long. The cover is by Walter Simonson. He was the artist on X Factor at this time, and so he wouldn't have a lot of opportunity to draw Wolverine. So this is a pretty cool opportunity for him to do Wolverine here. There's a very specific date down here beside his Stegosaurus dinosaur signature. It's the 1st of January 1988, so a lot of lead time for this cover in advance of the publication of the comic itself in the summer of 1988. So let's open this one up to the credits page, and you can see here that Wolverine, as I said, is the A story of this inaugural issue of the anthology comic Marvel Comics Presents. And here we go, Wolverine, Save the Tiger. Writer, Chris Claremont. Penciler, John Buscema. So the incomparable John Buscema penciling Wolverine. Now, very infamously, John Buscema, not a fan of superheroes, even though he's widely renowned for his work on the Avengers in particular, back in the 1960s. But not a fan of them himself. But it seems he was enticed to draw this particular story and version of Wolverine with Chris Claremont. Claremont probably promising him most of the comic taking place without Wolverine in his brown and yellow costume here on the splash page. The rest of the creative team, Klaus, Janson inking over Buscema. That's an interesting combination. Then letterer Tom Orzechowski coming over from Uncanny X-Men, and also the Uncanny X-Men colorist Glynis Oliver rounding out the creative team as colorist. And you can see very much the color palette here is distinctive of Glynis Oliver in this era, the 1980s. So we get a little summary here of, or teaser in terms of what this particular chapter of 1 of 10 is about. The title of the story is The Good Guy. A dying man's last request sends Wolvie to the most sinister city in Southeast Asia. He's on his own, facing impossible odds and the deadliest foes of his life. He couldn't be happier. So, Night's My Kind of Time opens the story, and this, My Kind of Town, I'm Wolverine. So it is the most sinister city in Southeast Asia, and it's Wolverine's kind of town. So 1988, this is the Outback era of the X-Men. So when Wolverine is operating with the team, they are believed dead after the events of Dallas. The X-Men were believed to have died in Forge's Airy in Dallas, Texas. And so they are invisible to any kind of human technology, surveillance technology, and so on and so forth. So we're not actually going to see Wolverine in costume in this comic and in this storyline. He's taking advantage of the fact that the world believes the X-Men dead, and that they're operating Storm and the team covertly from the town they take over from the Reavers in the outback of northern Australia. So, as I said, the title of the story, The Good Guy, great double page spread here. You know, this is an interesting choice. A double page spread is usually something you reserve for a big action sequence, and instead what we have is an establishing shot of this fictional Asian city of Madripoor. It's like a combination of Hong Kong and Singapore. And so we get a good view of it. We get a view of High Town there and Low Town down here, and the bay, the curve of the bay as well. And it's worth reading out Claremont's prose introduction to the city. The city's Madripoor, capital of a small island principality south of Singapore. So there's a prince who is in charge. It's not a democracy. 21st century living, cheek by jowl alongside the 18th. ultra-rich gouging space from the poorest of the poor. No rules here, anything goes, and everything can be bought. People are what are sold the most. Lives become commodities, usually cheap. When I'm involved, though, it can cost the world. So this is Wolverine's first-person narration. It is macho, tough guy dialogue, but it's got such rhythm and verve, and it is verbally appealing too. It really is fun to read. Claremont enjoying himself here with this particular first-person narration. And it continues on the subsequent pages as we learn a little bit more about Madripoor. Nice street scene there from Buscema. Touristas mostly stay high town up on the peaks, in the gleaming skyrise hotel malls, cocooned in air-conditioned comfort, protected by glass walls that allow them to see the world outside, but not be touched by it. Low town's different. It smells. Spice from the cook shops, people sweat steaming in the heat, laundry overhead, trash in the gutters. More sense than a body can put names to. And interesting, because we can see Lowtown here. We see how grimy it is. We see the lowlifes hanging around on the street corners, and the tourists like walking by a little bit oblivious to what's going on in the alleyways, that they're being observed, and so on and so forth. And Claremont goes for the smell, something that can't be conveyed in the visual, and that's a clever choice. So he knows he can't improve on Buscema's drawings here. There's no need to repeat what we can see in the drawing ourselves. Instead, he goes for another aspect of Madripoor, Lowtown, the smell. And Wolverine's first-person narration continues. A human jungle, as teeming and dangerous as any natural one. Suits me fine. People see me, they give me a wide berth, recognizing instinctively that I'm a predator, prowling his turf, and maybe that I'm more than simply human as well. So, I'm a mutant with senses keener than most folks can even conceive of. A couple of breaths tell me pretty much all there is to know about the immediate vicinity, namely trouble. What a great introduction. So we move from the outside to the outside of Lowtown to the outside of the Princess Bar, into the Princess Bar, and there's a gang, an armed gang, up to trouble in the bar, and they want the boss, O'Donnell. Boss wants you bad, says one of the thugs. Doesn't like you opposing him. You wish to live? You pay a lot to regain his goodwill. And in walks Logan, lighting a cigarette casually. His first-person narration says, "Don't much like that. O'Donnell's who I came to see. Surprised though, figured a man like him would have long ago worked out his arrangements with the local mob. Nobody's perfect." So Wolverine, a man of the world, knows the way that the underworld works too. And I'm surprised at O'Donnell's not working out an arrangement with the local underworld boss, paying over his cut of the profits of the Princess Bar. So Wolverine calls out the thug with the machete. "Yo, chum, this a private party or can anyone join in?" So the guy runs at him. Wolverine just standing nonchalantly, arms crossed there at the door, and boom, punches him straight in the face. Never knows what hit him. His pals don't like that. Life's tough. So he throws one of them, the guy with the gun, out the window. This is really good stuff. Such smooth storytelling here from Buscema. He's an old hand at this. He must be enjoying himself too. And so we get Wolverine here taking on the thugs with the nunchucks. Another machete here. Then we get in his first-person narration a bit about his adamantium lace bones. And a healing factor able to cope with virtually any wound or poison or disease. Here's one joy boy, wishes he had one, as he punches him underside his jaw. Two left, rattled. They're used to taking people down, not the other way round. He hesitates as he draws a bead. All the time I need to get out of the way. And here we see in the background of these scenes with the guy about to chop Wolverine with the machete before he actually breaks it with his hand, a karate chop of his hand. And the guy aiming the machine gun at him as well. And those classic Glynis Oliver red backgrounds for moments of violence or impending violence. So after all of that, Wolverine casually bends down to pick up his hat, replaces it on his head, even as this guy gets one of the women in the bar and holds her prisoner, threatening to blow her head off. Try anything and the lady loses her looks. You come here, mister, he says. You beg, maybe I'll let you live. But Wolverine's relaxed. That's a crock. He's lost too much face. He's trying to cover his fear with a big mouth. Isn't working. Everyone knows it. I do as he says. I sign my death warrant. I've a better idea. Go ahead. Pull the trigger, he says. And the guy's kind of taken aback. And Wolverine continues. He says, but after you do, bub, then you're mine. And then Buscema pulls in the camera, so to speak, and we see the absolute fear on the guy's face, and he just runs for his life out of the bar. He gets the message. So Wolverine didn't even have to touch the guy. Just the sheer threat of what he would do to him afterwards had the guy fleeing for his life. And now all the guests of the bar, and they look fairly well dressed and well to do. They crowd around Logan, and he asks the question, anyone want to call the police for his buddies? Waste of time, says one of the men. They'll be free inside an hour. Better just to toss him on a street. Let Roach deal with him. Whatever you say, says Logan. Roach, don't know his name. Punk boy's boss. Figure I'll find out soon enough. So why is Logan there? Well, he goes up to O'Donnell. Well, rather, O'Donnell introduces himself to Logan. I'm O'Donnell, I'm obliged, he says. Like I said, I was thirsty. Whatever you like on the house, says O'Donnell. I haven't seen your face before. You new in town? Just arrived, passing through. And in the first person narration, but I've been here before, long ago, before Logan became Wolverine and Wolverine an X-Man. And we will see that story of him being there in, of old times, 1941, in Uncanny X-Men 268 in a couple of years' time. So Claremont seeding that and following up in 2 years' time. So the woman who, in a very unorthodox way, he saved, gives him a kiss right on the lips, and she says, well, if you're ever feeling lonely while you're here, I'm Sapphire. She's fishing for a name, thinks Wolverine. I don't oblige. O'Donnell lets it ride for now. So this is real kind of hard-boiled environment that Wolverine's operating in. O'Donnell leaning up against the bar there. Really like the drapery on his suit as well by Buscema and Janson. What brings you to Madripoor? And Logan gets to the point. Word is, you want information? The place to find it is the Princess Bar. O'Donnell responds without committing. Could be, depends on the question and who asks. And now Logan makes the point with his frosty beer in hand. Dave Chappell sent me to find the tiger. And that gets a reaction. So Buscema gives us, for the final panel, after these kind of 6-panel grids, a wide horizontal full panel. So we get the full cinematic effect of all these various denizens of the bar, including the bartender drawing guns on him. That's real interesting, stranger, says O'Donnell, and then yells, considering Dave Chappell is dead. So much for the direct approach, thinks Wolverine. There we go. Next issue, the bad guy. So we had our good guy, first of all, Logan. Bad guy up next. We're going to find out who this Roach person is. And notice Sapphire, excuse me, she's even got a little gun of her own there that she's been carrying somewhere upon her person that she draws on Logan. So what a great first chapter. And of course the story atmosphere is that of hard-boiled detective fiction as well as film noir. That's what we're getting here, and that's got to be the attraction for John Buscema to draw all of this. And I'd say Claremont was just delighted to be able to work with a master of the medium like Buscema for this particular 10-part story. So that's what I'm looking at in this particular video. I'm not going to look at any of the rest of the items in this first issue of Marvel Comics Presents, but I do want to take a look at the back inside cover there, where you get a black and white preview of the upcoming covers, front and back, to the next issue of Marvel Comics Presents. So you can see the Wolverine cover there. Pretty cool stuff in black and white. And there you go. I do hope that you enjoyed this review and commentary on Marvel Comics Presents Wolverine #1. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section to the video. If you enjoyed my review and commentary, please like the video and share it. It really helps the channel. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content like this.